Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Good evening in Kenya. Wish to welcome everyone this evening to our webinar. Want to thank all of you who have joined us so far. Greetings from African Women in Science and Engineering. I'm Caroline Thurua from Kenya, and really it's a great pleasure to welcome all of you today to join us here at our seminar. And I want to introduce our speaker, Dr. Neva Alexander. Thank you very much for graciously hosting us here today and being willing to speak to us. And I just want to acknowledge our participants who have so far joined us. I know they're coming from different countries, from all over Africa, and we just want to thank you for joining us. We recognize that we have participants from Nigeria, Uganda, Tanzania, and several other countries, and Kenya, and of course, Neva from the US. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. We're really delighted to have you here, and we're wishing you all a pleasant evening. Just before I introduce our speaker today, just to let you know that as we go on in our message this evening, we would invite you to put any questions or comments on the Q&A or on the chat. So please feel free to make comments, put your questions down, which we will consider later on at the end of the webinar, and so that you can participate with us. So just to let you know, you can also put your hands up later on if you'd like to speak verbally. That will also be possible. If you put your hand up, we will call you at the end of when our speaker completes her message. And sorry. So again, thank you for registering and for joining us. Our speaker this evening, as you all know, is Dr. Neva Helen Alexander, and most of the time she's known as Dr. Neva, and her organization or her company is known as Neva Alliance. And Neva Alliance is an organization, a nonprofit organization that that is a national educational venture alliance that offers trainings to entrepreneurs and small business owners with the knowledge they need to start, grow, and prosper. And what they really want to see is to help people develop and grow their businesses. I'd like to speak and let you know a little bit about Dr. Neva, all right? And professionally, she's known just as Dr. Neva. She's an educator and the CEO of Neva Alliance, a platform that hosts different business series, which entails startup ideas, global businesses, women empowerment, and professional skills webinars. She's a professional speaker, advisor, trainer, and author. Dr. Neva has conducted workshops and speaking engagements all over the world on topics surrounding leadership, entrepreneurship, and culture. And so thank you very much, Dr. Neva, for agreeing to speak to us this evening. And we open the floor for you to speak. And you can also tell us a little bit about yourself. We'd be happy to know how a young lady has done so well and making an impact globally. Welcome, Dr. Neva.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you so much for having me, Professor. Now, I'm not as young as I look. I just want to say that. Thank you so much, and I appreciate that compliment. So, guys, so you pronounce my name like the Americans. So I'm going to change it. It's Neva. Yeah. So when I travel, I'm so excited because the name is pronounced correctly. When I come back in America, I have to correct. Like, no, it's Neva. So Neva Helena Alexander is the full name. I go by Dr. Neva. And Dr. Neva, I adopted that name when I worked in Saudi Arabia for a few years. Went there as a professor, then I moved on up to the chair of the humanities department. And I noticed there they went by your first name. And I liked it. It removed that stiffness. It was, they acknowledge you professionally by putting, a doctor or miss or whatever, but, just open up to the friendliness when they say, your first name. So I personally like it and I went by it. So after, let me just a brief synapse about myself. After I left the Middle East, I decided to start my own company. And let me get into it. I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint slide that you can see and get a visual, about my story. So let's go. Here we are. Here we go. So, Neva Alliance. Neva Alliance, it started, I'm just, because we're talking about business, right? Let me just go back. The topic is turning your scientific and engineering profession into a business, right? So, Neva Alliance, let me give you a synapse of how that really came into play. I asked a web developer to develop my website, and he said the name that I wanted was not available. So at the time, I started out with National Educational Venture Alliance. What was available was NEV Alliance. And I said, you know what, it's there, it's available, it's short, people can remember it, so let's go with it. So I'm saying this to you, again, because we're talking about business, right? So marketing, branding, I'm sitting in front of you right now, I have on my t-shirt, you see who I am. Always remember the name. If you're planning or thinking about business, if you've started your business, branding is important, and that's what I'm doing. And so even with when we speak today, I'm going to also speak a lot about sales. It's going to be like I mentioned, but when you are in business, you're constantly selling yourself. Remember that, all right? So let's move on. Shift in focus during the pandemic. So as I mentioned, 2013 is pretty much when I started Neva Alliance. I started only focusing on the educational sector at that time. But then I saw a need for business owners really needing the assistance that they need to move forward. And so I decided to keep going that way. Understand during this endeavor, I've also continued working in academia as well, right? So my background, I have my bachelor's from John Jay College of Criminal Justice and Legal Studies. Then I went on to social science to Long Island University. Then I went on to educational leadership. That's where I have my doctorate in educational leadership. So fast forward, let's move forward. Shift in focus during the pandemic. The pandemic itself, I mean, it's a pandemic, meaning the world. So many people are going through different setbacks, You're not going through setbacks. Some people are going through anxiety. Some people are going through what's next. I even received an email from someone this week, and her question to me was, you know, she got laid off from her job in the hotel industry. I'm not going to go too deep because I try not to give a lot of individuals' personal information. But she's trying to decide now, should she start a small business? And I will respond to her. But going through our webinar today, you know, is a lot of things you got to think about before you start, continue, or even maneuvering through a business. So shift in focus during the pandemic. When we heard, you know, the pandemic is now in the United States, I was actually visiting family in Jamaica. So my heritage, Jamaica, okay? So I stuck there for some months before I was able to come back to the US because everything was grounded. So at the time, they're not making any money because they can't. The hotel industry took a tank in a sense where people are not going to hotels, right? So many things took a detour. So many businesses had to try to do other things to bring in revenue, or they closed down. I'm sure you've been listening to the news. You hear how many Starbucks had to cut back. I mean, Pizza Hut this week are closing a lot of their franchises. I mean, so many things are happening. I spoke with a young lady who has a spa that's extremely well. It's a celebrity spa. She went to making hand sanitizers in her basement just to keep afloat, right? So shift focus during the pandemic. You have your job, right? But will your job be there in a few months, in a year? What will happen? Everything is going online. Will they really need you? Or they need you, but you have these sets of skills. How can you utilize it to make money for yourself? Yeah, these are things to think about. So should you start your own business? The first known and documented case of entrepreneurship was in 17,000 BCE in New Guinea. Now, guys, I don't know, I researched it, this is what I came up with, but if you think about it, even if you are more on the religious side or in the historical books, pretty much trading and merchant services, been exchange of goods and services, it's been happening for years. It's not new, right? So whether you have a product or a service, you are selling. You're in to make money, you are selling, right? So entrepreneurship, business ownership, it is not new, no matter what scale you have it on. So one question I want you to ask yourself, and guys, please don't forget, if I'm going through this, you know, this information right now, you can feel free to drop your questions in the chat or Q&A, and we'll get to it at the end. So should you start your own business? Ask yourself, are you a creative? A creative generation of ideas in the attempt to solve a problem or produce something new. If you're starting a business, you have to solve a problem. You can't just open a business like, oh, okay, this sounds like a great idea. So what problem are you solving? If you know the why and the problem that you're solving, you're able to make an income of your business, whether it's a product or service. Yes? So for instance, you have this great idea to come up with a tutoring program. What problem are you solving? And there are a lot of problems that can be solved right now with tutoring service. You just got to be smart about it and unique about it. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Innovation. So after you are creative, you know you could create something, you have the innovation in you. Can you, the implementation of ideas generated from the creative process. Some of us are creative, we just dream about the beautiful idea, and you keep dreaming about the idea, and you dream about the idea and it happens. You need to implement it. If it's not implemented, it's nothing. And you're not the type of person to, put things in operation. Maybe business ownership is not for you. Or, and I'm not here to damper your spirit, I'm just being real, or you'll need to get a partner that can pick up where you lack, right? Because even in business, and we need the opposite of us. So we know that we're great at operations and development. Get someone that's good at sales and marketing, right? And putting things down to make it run. So what is creativity and what is innovation? What am I? You need to think, who are you? I want you to take some seconds. Who am I? Where am I at? I watched an interview a while back, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a video with some Nigerian ladies, and they were saying that the higher your degree, the less that you will do a business. And I sat back and I went, wait a minute. The individuals, right, who don't have a degree, for the most part, they're really quick to start something and just run with it. But the intellects take a little bit more time because we have to make it perfect. Meanwhile, that other person probably sitting in the corner looking at you to take your idea. Just a thought, right? So let's go back. What am I? Where do you fall on the scale? Are you creative or are you innovative? Right? We all possess the ability to be creative. Believe it or not, we have that in us. I think that's easier than innovation. And the challenge for creative lies in our confidence. And if you are going to do business, you have to be confident, because people are going to tell you 500 no's. No, we don't need your service. We don't need you. No, no, no. And it could break your spirit, right? So you have to be confident even in your delivery. No matter what, I say to myself sometimes, it's easy to break your confidence when people are telling you no, but you got to keep pushing till you hear that yes, right? And with practice and effort, the process will become easier, right? So if you're going through it, just know that if you keep practicing, things will become easier for you. So an example of creativity and innovation into play. Creativity. A bank creates a new program, right? Has something to do with mobile banking service for their customer. And your innovation, building the platform to support the program. Right? You can come up with an idea for security, or having a camera for security. However, the real work is actually putting the product out there for you to make money. If you're not able to do that, you may need to team up, and I mentioned this before, with someone who can, or a company who can assist you. So which is more important, creativity or innovation? Guys, you need them both, right? They go hand in hand. Yes? So what skills do entrepreneurs, business owners need? Who? Communication skills. I am sure you've been to some shops and the owners lack communication skills. Sooner or later, if they have strong competition, they're going to be out of business, right? Communication skills key. Communication is key when you decide, all right, I have this great service that I want to render, and I need to meet some individuals in key positions to pitch to them. If you go and you cannot communicate your product or service correctly, you're doomed. Communication is also listening to the verbal and nonverbal that individuals give. You also need math skills, and people probably think, why would I need math skills in, business? Oh yeah, if you don't have math skills, they will steal your money. If and even if you have an accountant, you also need to keep an eye. Because regardless, sad enough, we trust the accountant, but maybe they take from you. So if you cannot count, that's a problem, right? It goes hand in communication, and math skills goes hand in hand. And remember what I said earlier, problem solving skills, you need to solve a problem, right? It could be from the beginning, opening the business, or when you have your service and something goes wrong, you need to be quick on your feet to think, okay, how can I solve this customer's problem, right? How can I solve my client's problem? Leadership skills. My dissertation way back was really, I did a dissertation on the relationship between educational skills and leadership skills and small business owner, and I studied the sample in New York. You'll be amazed at the lack of leadership skills in business owners, right? And you need it if you have workers working for you. Yeah, you need to know how to lead. You need to know which work best in certain circumstances. I'm not here to teach you all about the skills that you need, but just to list the basic skills, because that's another step of skills that you would need in training, right? And there's a saying, I'm going to just go back to communication skills. There's a saying that pretty much individuals who have, like, the engineers and scientists, sometimes a little bit are the medical field, sometimes they don't know how to communicate with the regular individuals, and something, we need to learn how to be approachable. Yes? I see some questions coming in. We'll definitely address them at the end, and I'm glad they are coming in. So I can't wait. I want to answer. So you decide, yeah, I can do business. I'm a business owner. I can definitely do this. Yeah. So what are you going to do? You're going to purchase an existing business? There are opportunities out there that you can actually buy an existing business and make it even better, right? Some people kind of steer away from this because they're like, well, the funding, and how do I know what I'm buying? But there have been stories of individuals or big companies buying out small companies, right, to make it stronger. So are you going to buy an existing company? Would that be easier for you to think about that extra income while you're working your 9 to 5, or you know, I would not say quit your 9 to 5 now, but what will it be, right? Would you buy into a franchise? So a franchise, you have different food franchises, a whole lot of school franchises, so many different franchises. Is that the way for you, where you feel that they already have a system in place and you could follow their system? Now, for myself, franchising is difficult for me because I am such a creative and I want to implement things my way, which will hurt. You understand? And I'm saying this actually from experience. I've had a franchise before. The franchise owner, this was in 2004. I was, I want to get a franchise. I want to be a business owner. And I bought into one. And the owners, after 2 months of purchasing the franchise, they came to me and said they wanted to buy it back because they don't think I was the best person for the franchise. And I laughed because I spent my money and then they told me this is what they feeling. They gave me back some of the money, but it was a lot of time and a lot of things wasted. But I learned from that I am more of a person who will start from scratch or maybe deal with an existing business to take it over. But franchise is not for me, but it may work for you because they have a system in place. They're working, it's running. You take a piece of the pie and you operate it and it's good. So you also have to know, again, who are you, right? And that's why I started with creativity and innovation. So guys, because of your field, I took some time out to kind of zoomed in on the type of businesses. Now, there are many more to this, but the type of businesses currently that I feel that you probably will make some money from even during the pandemic. And I want to say to you, guys, in a recession, there's so many companies that build and start and are successful. CNN, I'm sure you've heard of CNN. They started in a recession, right? So when people say, well, this is not the right time, it's not the right time if you don't have any money, because you do need money to start a business. However, guys, you need, just don't hold back on this is not the right time. Right? There are always opportunities, and the people who are risk takers, most of the time, they're the ones making the money. So the first one is online specialty schools or program. I didn't say to build with brick and mortar because right now that's just not going to happen, right? But everything pretty much right now is going online. So if you have a special angle that you want to do a school or a program, there's an idea for you, right? Of course, there are steps in starting it and knowing what software is going to be best for you, but yeah. Solar panel business. Well, people are still thinking about how can they save money on electricity, their light bill, no matter where you are in the world. Consultancy firm. If you're an expert at something and you've been given away for free because you're just that kind-hearted, you don't know how to sell, turn it into a company. Make it make money for you. Your gift, your talent. Tutoring service. Now, there's students online that need help. Do you have the skills or the time? Or maybe you can hire the college students to do the nitty-gritty, the help the students, the math, science, whatever, and you just, oversee the program, the tutoring service, which is a little lighter than the online school that I mentioned, because you're just helping them with the basics. School is more certification and certain things like that, right? Online store. Well, you'll probably think, why would I want to do an online store? Well, why not? There's so many people making money online selling. Now, if you create a special product, or maybe you have something that you can just market and sell online, there's Amazon, there's eBay. And when I thought about this, I was thinking more on a low scale. It's just something to make an extra income. But there are people that are doing great. Fun story. One of my colleagues, he's Cameroon American. His son was making more money than him, a college professor, selling online. And his son was 20 years of age. Think about it. Cleaning company. Now, I don't expect for you to go in and do the cleaning, because I know the group that I'm speaking to, right? Engineering scientists. But guess what? So many corporations right now are consumed with the thought of how can we keep our place clean so that we can prevent this virus. Think about it. It's a money-making idea. Maybe you came up with some chemical or something that you could put together, and it's only through your cleaning company. You get some contracts to clean different places, from hospitals to restaurants to wherever, because people are going to still eat. They're still going to go out, right? Think about it. Then author, content creator. So let me tell you, when it started out, I started about, shifting. I shift my focus in somewhat, because I started working more on content creation. What do I mean? I decided to focus in on my YouTube channel, and after I'm going to drop the link for my YouTube channel here. And I was able to work so hard from March until now. So now YouTube is finally paying me, finally. So the videos that I create, information on business, I had the opportunity to interview she's actually from Kenya. She was Miss Kenya Universe 2004 to 2005, I don't remember the exact year. I had an opportunity to interview her. It's on my YouTube. Had an interview to interview global business experts from South Africa to Nigeria. It's on my YouTube. And yes, I have Americans there, a lot of them, but I just mentioned those because, maybe you can identify a little bit. But I focused in on, right, the YouTube channel, because I'm thinking, yes, if I keep going, this is a way to make money, because my income also got messed with because of the pandemic, because I'm not able to go out there and train. Usually individuals their business got hit, so I wasn't able to work with them as much as I would want to, because beyond our control, the pandemic happened. So I refocused. I worked on, again, YouTube, and I have a podcast, right? But author, you can write. I'm sure you have knowledge. I'm sure you have so many things out there. It's not difficult. You can write, and you could self-publish if you wish. Put it on Amazon, right? You can make it an ebook, sell it. The opportunities are there. It's up to you to take it, right? Nonprofit, NGOs. Maybe there's something that you wanted to start for some time, and here's a chance, right? You don't necessarily have to go to the office every day at this time, but you can start putting that plan together. Maybe you want to focus in on agriculture, because people are really more into, eat what they grow. There's so many opportunities. Maybe you want to work doing something in the medical section because that's where the opportunities are. So NGOs, medical supply companies, they need medical supplies, right? Maybe you have something that you create, maybe you know where to get it, maybe options are there. Food supplements. We need vitamins. We need the best, the ones that can make our skins glow, the ones that could make us run, the ones that we take in the morning, we put our foot to the ground, we're just, jump up. Oh, yeah, we got that energy. Certain individuals after a certain age, they're really consumed with, I want a better living, I want a better life, food supplements. And here are the 10 ideas, business ideas. I'm sure you have your own ideas, but these are some that I found that I believe, again, will be relevant to today. So guys, leverage your passion. Maybe you don't want to say passion, but leverage your talent, leverage your skills. Start small and then build. Have a big idea, but start small and then build up. Don't start big and then drop the ball, right? I was listening to someone the other day which thought she opened a wine company, and she realized how much money she wasted because she wanted to show that she's successful, but she really wanted to show how successful she was, but she ended up losing money. She started big versus growing. Take your time. Make sure that you're doing things right. That's what I mean by take your time. Not take your time on the idea, because someone else will take your idea, but once you get started, try to, move in a good pace, Train yourself to prioritize your startups. What's important? Launch platforms. Find out different platforms that you can launch on depending on your business. Seek extra support. No, there's a saying, no man is an island, right? Seek support, guys. I'm sure wherever you are, there are probably different support organization. That's what I do. That's what I get paid to do, to help people with the branding part, the sales part, to get international, individuals would say, Neva, I need something to be in America. Can you help me? Stuff like that. And that's what I do. All right. But whatever, doesn't have to come from me, but seek extra support. And there's I know we say have a, the business plan. Business plan is important, but you can actually start. Someone asked me this before, and that's why I said it. You could start and then create your business plan. Or you could create your business plan, prepare, and then start, right? Keep your emotional and physical, mental health in check. It is so important. You work and you don't want to burn yourself out. So I believe most of you probably already have employment. If you want to start a small business, remember there are things that you have to think about: your family, your emotional health, your physical, all of that. Make sure that you are on page. You don't want to burn out and crash, right? And I'm not going to tell you the sad stories of that, but it can happen. But that's why it's important to keep a check on yourself. All right. And guys, I'm just going to say, just know whatever you do, what are you solving? Water, food, the environment, healthcare. What are you solving? Where's your knowledge at? What's your expertise? Use it to make money. Right? It may not be your passion. What I mean, Your passion could simply be you want to be a TV host. What's your gift? Your gift is something. But if your gift can make you make money, or your talent, use it. All right, guys. So we're going to open up at this time again. I hope that you were able to get some information from me. And we have the Q&A at the moment. And, you know, my YouTube channel, I'm going to drop it in there because there are videos there that you can watch and learn. Also, I do offer one-on-one consultation. And if you are interested in that, I'm going to drop the information as well in the chat and you will see it. All right. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Neva. That was an excellent presentation. You've taught us quite a lot this evening, taught us to think about, you've given us some ideas, you've told us to be confident, to go out there and try and make some money. I think I also like when you said that really the depression or times like this is actually an ideal time to start doing something new, trying to, you know, to try those ideas that you have in the background. There are lots of really good ideas that you've given us this evening.
I think I will just, what caught my ears was, will they really need you at your job in the next few months? So that was something that really stood out. Now, based on that, you've talked about very interesting things, and maybe I can start the Q&A as we wait for Professor Caroline. You talked about the time it took for you to build your YouTube channel, and you had to just buy the time and grow it slowly. As you were growing it, maybe talk about the issues of capital, because there's, for example, I'm an engineer, and if I want to start something that has to do with solar, I have to have capital, a capital base, so that at least I can get the business off the ground. And then also talk about people, because people are inputs to your business. So how do you leverage the people around you to be able to get your business off the ground, especially when you're talking about something that's as intensive as, let's say, anything in engineering or science?
Okay, so your first question was capital, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So from the United States, so I try not to touch on this topic because I know it varies depending on where you are. In the United States, I know it's a little bit easier in a sense for capital because right now, especially during the pandemic, there are like small business loans that they're lending a lot more of from the government. So you have that. Now, I know most individuals, they're not in the United States. I could be wrong, but they're not. But there are companies out there. There's one lady that I met, and pretty much she has an operation. She's from the States. She has an operation in Cameroon, and she has an operation in Ghana. And her business is such where if you need money, she'll buy the stuff and then for you, and then you pay her back on a monthly plan. So it's a legit company, it works, that's why she's able to expand. But as far as capital, the usual sources is your savings. It's from the bank, it is from friends and family, it's, let me see, where else? And I know the solar, you know, if you're able to maybe get a sponsor or with someone who's already established and just, they're not able to really run that portion of the business, and you're able to just piggyback from that because they have the resources, the money, the funds and stuff like that to help you. And there are also, you know, grants. I know like government, grants.gov, sorry. There are different things around the world, different countries that So you can actually say, let me register an NGO and tie it into maybe the solar, right? So that when you write for the grants, it's stronger, so you could get your funding that way. Or for myself, I do have a nonprofit, an NGO. I also have the corporation. Why? Because I'm able to use the nonprofit to, again, apply for training opportunities, right? To apply for where, consulting wherever I need. And of course, the other is the corporate side. So, yeah, I mean, money is always a touchy topic because sometimes you want to start, but you don't have it. But, even with my YouTube channel, it was more of people, please subscribe, please watch, please subscribe, please watch. I sound like a broken record, but that's in the sense what I was doing, begging, please, 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 until I'm able to YouTube, they watched and watch, and then it said, okay, we can pay you now for your ads.
Right.
But did it cost
So
me?
what I hear you saying is you also have to be creative in terms of how you look at where you're going to get the capital for the business. If you do not have your own money, then you really have to be creative in how you organize your business, right?
Yes, yes, definitely. And again, there are many things you could tie in to. I mean, let's go back, like even a tutoring service. Some people go, nah, I don't want that, but it's also profitable. You don't have to start with a lot of capital, right? And you could use your job as a base to fund your business.
Right.
So if you have a job.
Okay. Maybe just to tie in with that, there is someone who has asked a question about return on investment. For you, maybe you can speak about any one of your businesses. How long did it take you to make a return on investment? And does your business end up covering all your costs? Yeah.
Now it does, but in the beginning, no. It took like, I would say 3 years. The first year was just like, let me tell you, I'm transparent, so bear with me. So the first year, it was like, okay, I got a contract and I was excited and I was like, woo, I got this. And then I realized with the contract, they were actually ripping me off. So it was this, roller coaster of emotions and, should I have really started this? First year was tricky. The second year is where I started to make some money. The third year is like the level off. But of course, the pandemic took a hit, right? But I'm not just going to pack my bags and, start crying. Anxiety kicked in. It's normal. I realize it's normal. But again, that's why I pivot to make something else work for me, right? So yeah, just keep in mind, don't expect to start a business right away and it's going to just work right away. Yeah, takes time.
Right. I mean, these questions are just fitting into one another because there's someone else who was concerned about that. Your first year was terrible and you just pulled through it and went on to the second year. So the question is, how do I know whether I have a winner or a loser? Because at times you start a business and you stay with it and it's not a winner. And then you stayed with it for 5 years and nothing is turning around. So how do you know? Are there benchmarks that you can have and so you just know when it reaches, when you see this benchmark, then you know it's time to quit or and so on. Yeah.
You know what? So I'm smiling because that question haunts me for some time. Like, how long do I stick to really see something happening? Now, 5 years is a long time. Give your,
Yeah.
5 years, a long time to really, if you're not making anything for 5 years, I would say passion is, have you pulling through, but yeah, 5 years. I would say in the first 2 years, assess.
Right.
Assess what and because as I said, the third year is always that turning point to the profit. But if you're in the third year and you're still in zero or negative, and then you go on a few years, that's just too much. Yeah.
But I would say it also depends on the type of business, no? Because other businesses, you would start off right on at a profit, and then you go down into the loss and stay in the loss for some time, and then it picks up again. But then there are other businesses which you start building.
True.
Right?
It depends. Yes, it depends on the business, but I'm saying overall, it is still 3 years is that point. It really, yes, it depends on the business. Because if you have some business, like if you're selling online, it probably kick off right away.
Yeah.
Probably. Depends on what you're selling. Solar system may take some time,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not getting a contract, if you're not getting nothing in the third year, I'm not saying to throw it away, but re-examine. Look at it and see, all right, maybe I'm doing it this way, but if I do it another way, it will work a little better, right?
Right.
Not
Right.
totally quit, but just look at how you could rearrange it. Yeah.
Okay. There's a question on skills. You talked about the skills that we need in business, the communication, the maths, the problem solving, and the leadership skills. So are there any specific leadership skills for business as compared to maybe the fields of engineering or science or social work? Is there something that is specific for business, or what we already know from our professions can do?
All right. So it depends on what business you decide to go in. If you are going to go into, say, the food industry, you might take a dictatorship approach. What I mean, just telling people what to do. So it really
Right.
depends on the type of business and then the type of people you have working for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So,
Okay.
it's what I mean, in the study that I did, I realized that most people uh, with a high school diploma that are business owners, they have more of the dictatorship approach, right? Once
Right.
they have their degrees, it's a little different. But if you're a cleaning service, if someone is sweeping the floor, the leadership skill that you're going to have is going to be different for that person than the person that's in your office who's the HR manager, right?
Right.
But overall, people have to be comfortable with you, right? So being
Yes.
charismatic, yeah, because you have to sell. And yeah, you have to be approachable. So
Right. So then it ties into my second question, which you did not answer, about people as
okay.
inputs to business, because there are people that you're going to employ as
Mhm.
the people you're going to work with, but at the same time, there are people who are going to connect you with business out external to, they're going to connect you to, how do I say, um, basically hookups. So, like for example, my solar business, I may know a company which
Mhm.
maybe is doing solar, but they would want to outsource that part of their business and so on. But I would have to know people who would be able to link me up. So, how exactly do we bring in those people, knowing that as scientists and engineers, we're all about the science, and we would rather outsource that to others?
So how can you find the people? That's the question.
Yeah. Yes. How can you yes, how can you leverage on that, the asset of people?
Okay. So you can leverage, first of all, you have to find the people. You can find the people through different organizations. Join another organization than the one that you're used to. You can find people on LinkedIn. I get emails sporadically every day or so with people that want to partner, right? You can find people in many different aspects. Now, how to leverage it is, for example, they have to feel like they're going to profit as well. Right? So if you go to someone, there's someone that I know, he actually was looking into solar from Nigeria. He reached out to myself and I put him in touch with someone who has the capital, right? The person with the capital already has a team that does marketing. You get?
Okay.
So it's having, there's company that find people, connect people, give you leads, you know, put things together for you if they're interested in what you're doing. Venture capital companies do that. Angel investors do that. Right? Because they're benefiting, but they want to know what can they profit. No one is not going to just, hey, I'm doing this because it's you and you're beautiful. No, they want them. Yeah. So.
Okay. Next question is about taxes and licenses. What would you advise about navigating the taxes and the licenses required in business?
The licenses,
yes.
Okay.
If you have a premise and so on.
Okay. So, wow. In every country, you're going to have red tapes. And from my background information, I don't think in certain situations you can avoid giving someone a kickback. It's what I'm saying is you avoid, if you want something to be done, you need the government sometimes on your side. You need to deal with certain the politics, right? So unfortunately, I know in the United States, from my experience, is going to be, different because it's just a matter of paperwork. And if someone is caught doing something wrong, we have our things that we can do to make sure that they are penalized, right? But in your sense of where you're from or your location, in a sense where the licensing process and how can you avoid some of those hiccups. I don't know each country's laws and rules. I don't, right? But I'm saying in general, if is something that you really want to do, you have to, again, it goes back to people connecting with the right people. But again, it's probably end up where, sadly enough, you have to pay something out to get what you want, those licenses, those approvals and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's right, but if you want to move forward, sometimes that's what you have to do. But I'm not sure with each country, what's their rules, what's their laws and such.
Right, okay. I think last question from my end. What does personality have to do with it? With opening a business, with starting a business? Does personality have anything to do with it?
It depends on where you are in your business. What I mean, if people remember how you make them feel.
Yes.
Yes. So if you're the
Yes.
type of person where you make people, they're like, oh, I don't like her. It's something about her. They're not going to connect you. They're not going to connect you. It takes, you know, a certain, again, and this is where leadership also plays a part, but it also takes a certain, you know, have to be charismatic. You have to know how to speak. You have to let someone feel comfortable. So if you're going in aggressive and angry, who wants to deal with that? There's a friend, she's in England now, and I spoke with her 2 weeks ago. I met her in Saudi, right? And she thought the best way to lead her team was this harsh approach. Well, the people that she worked with somehow knew me, and they complained. She's horrible. We're not going to make her get anything. Her own team wouldn't even help her to get clients because her personality so bad.
Right.
And she's a nice person, but because of she thought that's how she had to be in business. Now you have to know the type of people that you're dealing with and when to be soft and when to be hard. Right? But personality has a lot to do with business. It's like a performance.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will hand over to Professor Caroline.
Thank you very much, Reham. I want to apologize. I got disconnected. So thank you very much that you are able to continue. And we just want to know if there are any more questions out there. Could write them in the chat or the Q&A. But in the meanwhile, could you tell us the list of mentors in business development? Is that important? Is that necessary?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up a bit.
Oh, okay. So looks like there's a connection problem. Yes, I was just asking, what is the place of mentors in product, in terms of businesses? Because you said we could get our passion, our hobbies, something that we really enjoy doing. And sometimes trying to determine which of the ideas that we have to go for. How can we choose something? Also, what is the place of mentor in starting a business? Can you hear me?
In and out, but I'm gonna try. Ladies, if you heard what she said, and
let me write it.
She was talking about having mentors in business because you talked about having passion and
okay.
Yes. So what's the role of having mentors? Is it important?
Okay.
I hope I got that. Yeah.
Mentors. Okay. Is it mentors important in business? Yes. Definitely. Mentors are important because you want someone that understands you, someone that, and a mentor doesn't necessarily, because you could hire a mentor one-on-one, but someone understanding your product and what you're trying to do. So mentors are important, but I thought she said something else with gifts and talents. And can you, no?
It was sort of like two questions in one.
Okay.
Because we're saying if we're going to start a business that we hadn't been doing before, and you had to choose one of several ideas that you have, how are you going to choose which one to go for? Which one is likely to succeed? Just being able to identify what should I might be interested in product development. I might be interested in coaching or writing books. Yeah. How do we determine which one to choose? And then I also asked, what is the place of mentors in terms of, you know, business
Got you,
development
got you. I got it.
coaches and yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. So which one to choose? You're gonna choose the one that's relevant at this time to make with, you know, so maybe you have this passion, this idea, your gift, your talent, and you notice this is really needed right now. Right now, that's the one you go after. All right, because if your passion is public speaking and you like to go out in the crowd and speak in front of everyone, that's not going to make any money right now. But you can cultivate it on the side until it's time, right? So you're going to look at what's necessary right now. What's the need? And that's the one you go after, right? And mentors, yes, I mentor many different individuals. So mentors are important. You find the one not just that understands engineering and science, but ones that understand business, marketing, sales, branding, because guess what? You already know about the science and the engineer part. You want someone to complement where you lack. Yes? So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so building a team is very important, really, basically.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
And you know, some teams that I've met, they say that you have this talent, or you're doing this and you're doing this and this, and they've built a team out of that. They each have their individual businesses, but they help each other, mentor each other, give each other referrals, businesses, and you know, if this person brings in a business, right, they are able to get a certain percentage, right, because they helped to do something, right? So you could have a group of you that business click to each other, and yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
As
Thank
someone
you.
here, you're welcome. I see a comment that says very
Yes.
informative discussion. Thank you. I've
Discussion,
never thought,
yes.
yeah. I've never
Consultancy
thought,
as a business idea. Yeah, maybe you could elaborate on that.
oh man, so consultancy is think about it. There's so many, you could be a consultant for a transportation company, a medical consultant, and so many different consultants. What you're in a consultancy is you're bringing your expertise to the table, right? And people pay you for your expertise. And it happens, there's so many big consultancy companies sending people all over the world. They charge hourly, they charge commission based, they charge per project. Of course, you got to know what you're worth and what you wish to get out of it. But yes, people pay you for your brain. You have it. They want it. Sometimes they just stay beside you because they know they're plugging away at your brain and taking it, and you're not getting paid. So get paid for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Here's a question from Doris Njoki. And I gather from the conversation on personality that one needs emotional intelligence among other skills?
Yes, you do.
Emotional intelligence.
Yes, that's another conversation, emotional intelligence. That's a whole lesson, but yes, yes, you do.
Very important. Okay. Yes, I don't see any other questions. So I think we can come to the end of our webinar this afternoon. And I think I'll take this opportunity once again to thank Dr. Neva for an excellent presentation. You've given us great ideas. You've told us that we need to be confident. We need to go out there and go for it and try it. Actually, scientists have a lot of knowledge over the years, and it's really time to, you know, go out there and do something about it. So thank you very much for the discussions that we've had. I also want to thank all our, our speakers. I just see a comment here. My question has not been answered. Is it in the Q&A? right now, I don't see anything on my Q&A. Maybe you could.
Okay, I see. Other than, okay, I see something. Other than
You
profit,
can see it?
what are the other indicators that my business will survive or collapse? I have seen many small business collapse after a good start. Profit. Okay, so other than profit, what can interfere? Inconsistency. If you're not being consistent in what you have, the market shift, whatever you've created is no longer valid to the mass. The way you've done business changed, right? It could be an ingredient. It could be so many different things other than profit for business to, go down. So is it if you could, a specific business, if you could tell me, I could answer it a little bit more specifically, but I mean, there's so many different things. That's why you always have to do a SWOT, right? Look at the strength, the weakness, the opportunities and threats. Focusing on the opportunities and threats, because someone can come up so quickly, your competitor, and start doing the same thing that you're doing, and there's no need, right? So if your level of service wasn't strong, you have this product, but it wasn't strong, someone else come up and they're doing much better at serving individuals, it might collapse, right? So there's so many different variables, but you always have to look at what's out there. Even like right now, the threat, we're having external threats from the pandemic, right? COVID, that's an external threat. So business some people have to revamp, start again, reorganize, right? So maybe where you start, there's some turmoil, government turmoil. There's some legal papers that wasn't registered correctly, and someone looked at it and go, oops, we caught you, and you probably, innocent. There are a lot of variables.
Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I think we've now answered all questions. And yes, so do you see any others? Because mine is blank, probably because I was disconnected in the Q&A.
How do you advise about navigating taxes and licenses? That's varies to
I think
you.
these ones were answered.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think you answered the taxes and the return on investment, and yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna close out the Q&A.
Yes. Yes. So yes, once again, I want to thank our participants. We've got participants from so many countries. I see Nigeria, I see Uganda, I see, in Kenya. Just thank you very much for joining us this evening and for contributing and just, sharing this evening with us. Dr. Neva, thank you very much for all you have. For all that you have taught us. Is there a message there?
There's someone raised their hands. I don't know.
Okay. All right, let them speak then if they'd like to say something.
My question was, thank you, Doctor, for this exciting and most encouraging content into business. So my question is, new person business, how do you compete with those who are experienced? For example, now as we have this pandemic, if you wanted to do the cleaning business, how would you compete with those who have already been in the business?
Remember that they started from somewhere, right? Everyone started from somewhere. They didn't just start out of the blue and just boom. So starting with someone who is already, you got to think about a unique advantage, especially to your location. It could be selling the fact that these products were created by you and is safe and whatever, and it's not going to damage or hurt, the surface or people or whatever. So you got to come in with a unique advantage, right? And you have to come in with a presence for people to see you. And use your credentials. You have them, use it to your advantage, right? I am such and such, I have this knowledge. Sell yourself. Now, it may take some time for people to warm up to you, but once they realize you're there and you're going, they'll start coming over.
Okay. Okay, that sounds great. And then my second and last question, maybe for this time, is you've talked about people stealing your idea. You know, maybe you have an idea to do business, and as you are trying to prepare, somebody listens to what you want to do and steals your idea. What do you do about that? Is there anything you can do?
Well, the most I can say, you can look into your country for the copyright and trademark laws. It happens all the time, no matter where you are. If it's a new idea, it's hard for you to, you know, trademark, because usually people think about trademark and copyright after you started. Now that's the only way. You can't prevent, but maybe you can bring, you know, compete against them, right? So you become their competition, and they have the idea, but you always think you have the secret sauce, right?
Okay.
So, but the best way is trademark, copyright, but you really can't prevent if you did not do those things. And again, if someone did that and you know you can do better than them, compete.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Mary. Probably just one last one and then we shall wind up.
Yes.
And I see a question from Dr. Okon from Nigeria. How does one turn ICT into a marketing skill? How does a young one, how do you turn ICT into marketing skills in ICT?
Okay, so acronym.
Of ICT is communication.
Information and communication technology.
Yes.
Okay, so turn it into a skill to market it.
And marketing skill.
Okay, let me just make sure I understand this. How does a young one
Her hand is raised up. Maybe you can unmute her so that she can make it clearer.
Okay, I'm going to remove Mary at this time. Thanks, Mary. I'm gonna unmute. Okay, and you can unmute. Doc. Okay, thank you.
Hello, good
Yes.
evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be in the seminar. Thank God I didn't miss it. I have just a question. Thank you, Dr. Neva. It's been a great time. There's just a question to ask. I mentor young girls in diverse science and engineering, backgrounds here in Nigeria. Through my organization for promoting African girls in engineering, science, and technology education. So I realized this time of COVID-19, the idleness that has been caused. The economy breakdown has taken them off their campuses, and everyone is just on their own. And in many areas of sciences, I'm not leading in many areas of sciences. I can only mentor, motivate, or something. But I have a number of students in ICT, most of them in computer engineering, most of them in computer science, girls. And they have been asking the question of how to turn an entrepreneur with their skills, with their acquired skills in computer science or in computer engineering. So my advice to them, you know, by my little knowledge, I'd ask them to, since everyone is home now, to take online courses to find specific professional areas which they can express themselves, or which they can study to gain some certificates or whatever, so that they could through such specialization find a route. But my question to you now, with your wealth of experience in entrepreneurship, what precisely should I advise? What they know, they are not in this seminar. I intended to send them the link so they can join the seminar. They are needed to discuss that with Caroline first, because I know it wasn't sent to them; it was sent to us. So that aside, I'll ask Caroline that later. But for you, what specifically can you advise these young ones in science and engineering, especially for today, those in ICT, those in computer? What can you advise? What can you advise them, or do I invite them to join this seminar tomorrow or so, so they can find their feet and be occupied at this COVID time, and maybe find a line of business in ICT?
Well, I don't mind that. It will be up to Professor Caroline to organize that, and not me. But one thing I believe that you said there in computers and technology, those are skills that are needed, right? So right now, yes, having a degree, that's fine, and we're quick to say get a degree and get, your skills, yeah. But there are people right now looking to utilize these skills. So
Yes.
Fiverr, for example, is a platform where people freelance. So when I go there at times to do quick jobs and maybe get in someone's logo or banner, they can actually put themselves on that website, advertise their service, and do freelance work. And that's also a practice, right? So they're getting the educational part, but also selling their services on a platform like that. And the more they get, they're rated as getting 5 stars and stuff like that, more people will come to them and they build their portfolio.
Okay, that's interesting. Please, could you send me the Fiverr platform so I can give to them to make a try, the various platform you probably may suggest for me to direct them? Yeah, please, I would love to have it so I can communicate with them.
Okay, I just put it in, but I put it into one person, so if you could just put it out there. But I'm gonna do a follow-up email as well, so you'll have the information for this, and my contact for my okay, thank you. So for my contact for YouTube, how to find me, all that great stuff as well.
Yeah,
yeah. I think I've seen a request actually for the recording. Will you send out a number of people have requested for the recording after this so that they can listen to it again?
Yes.
So that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
And
Need it.
yeah.
It'll be on YouTube because it'll be edited.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
So you'll have
it. Give us the link. The YouTube link.
Yes. Once it's up, you'll have it.
Your email.
Yes, as I stated, I'm a business person, so I have to type into where it makes sense for me. So, but always, think about that. Entrepreneurship didn't just come to me like that. It was, so with all that I've done, it have taught me, again, to sell myself, put myself out there, and that's what I'm doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so thank you once again, participants, for joining us, for joining in. You've made the evening lively, and Dr. Neva, this has been excellent, and we want to thank you very much. We look forward to having other sessions with you again in the future. So thank you very much, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.